Hi there, Diana from Adirondack Girl at Heart. I help vintage and antique lovers make more money selling vintage and antiques. One of the ways I do that is through these videos. Another way is through my website, adirondackgirlatheart.com. Today I'm sharing the second installment of my vintage and antique haul from the UK. We made purchases of over 150 items on our 3-week trip from the top of England almost down to the bottom almost. I'm going to be writing about our trip on my website, adirondackgirlatheart.com, and sharing the items that I found here on YouTube. So like I said, this is the second installment. The first installment was items that I picked up at charity shops. Today I'm sharing items that I picked up at car boot sales. So car boot sales are one of my favorite places to buy from in England, because it's basically like garage sale prices, but all in one location. Kind of like a neighborhood garage sale, except it's held usually in a large field, and everyone can drive onto the field and set up their tables, or often they'll just throw a tarp down on the ground and put their items out there for sale. And I always make great deals at car boot sales. Unfortunately, because of timing and location, I was only able to attend 3 car boot sales, but I had a lot of fun at those 3, and I picked up some really great items. So let's jump in. One of the very first, the first car boot sale, I picked up this brass pitcher. And if there was a theme from my shopping during those 3 weeks, it was probably brass, because I picked up a number of brass items, not usually something that I focus on, but the prices were really good, and I think I made some good choices. I really like this little pitcher. It was £3. There's a look at the bottom. There's no marking of any kind on it, but I will probably, from my booth, I'd put $25 to $30, and possibly more if I were going to sell it on Etsy. So I'm going to give you the prices in pounds. The exchange rate was $1.35 to £1. It had gone up 10 cents over the time that we were planning the trip due to the tariffs, or the threat of tariffs. It made the dollar less valuable over in England, but again, I was able to make some really great purchases. I picked up over 150 items and spent just a little bit over $300. And the total value is going to be well over $1,000. I don't know, someday I'll add that all up, but maybe I will. Okay, another find is this toast holder. So on a nice fancy English table, this might come out with several slices of toast in it. This is silver plate. It's marked made in England and EPNS right here. Electric plate over nickel silver. And I'm not sure if I'm going to polish it. It kind of looks like pewter right now, so maybe I will give it a polish. It was £1, and hopefully sell in the on Etsy in the $25 to $30 range. So while we're looking at some metal, I picked up this little, it's a mirror. Not super old, but it was £1, and I liked, it's got this like navy emblem on it. So about $10 for that. And then, gosh, that was just too cute to pass up. It was £1, not old, new. I will price it at about $8 to $10. I'm not even sure if it works. It's just a great little decorative item. And then I picked up this silver plated dish. It's marked on the bottom alpaca, which I think is a Mexican mark for silver plate. So I'm not really sure what this would have been used for. Maybe to hold a bottle of wine, keep it from sweating. Not really sure, but I just thought it was different and cute. Cost a pound, and probably put it on Etsy in the $20 to $25 range. And here's a pretty little dish. This is not so uncommon, even here in America, but it was 1 pound, and I thought it was pretty. And it does not have a mark, but I do think it's silver plate, and probably priced that for about $15 to $18. And this is kind of a random buy. I thought the horse was really handsome. He's brass, it's a letter holder. Could paint the wood, but I'm not gonna do that. And probably price it at about $9 from my antique booth. Same on this, $9 to $10. It's an old spool that has been carved out to create a timer. Don't know if that's a minute, and it is still working. Now, these are not great sellers. These used to sell really, really nicely back in the day. This one's marked Pocket Balance, made in Germany. So the German mark is nice. It was a pound. It is brass on the front there, and $9, $9 to $10 for that. I have no idea I think this was just a decoration on something, and I thought it was interesting. It's two, I don't know, egrets or herons, an elegant bird. It was a pound, and it does have a little mark there that has like a little angel in it, and price it at about $8 to $10. Picked up a couple pieces of jewelry. So first is this iridescent Austrian beaded necklace. Not super old, because this clasp is not super old. At least my feeling is that it's not super old, but it was a pound, and I will price it at $12 from my antique booth. And then these pretty newer, also earrings, but they are sterling silver with amethyst, probably like lab-made amethyst, but for a pound, super worth it, and would sell about $18 to $22. And then this sweet little ring, it's wire. I think it's gold plated wire with a little garnet. So I'm gonna have it tested to find out. Wire jewelry is not like this, like a wire ring is often not marked because it's too narrow. So want to do a little research on that, but it also was a pound. And if it's not gold plated, I would sell it for about $10, $10 to $12. And then here's a sweet little tiara. I think it's a little bit older, just because the brass has an aged appearance, and really a nice embossed design on there. And then these crystals and faux pearls. I just think it's sweet. And I will probably put that on Etsy, maybe my shop, not sure. Anyway, on Etsy, I'd price it at about $28 to $32. All right, what next? Okay. At the very first Carboot sale, I picked up this brush. I think you would call it a clothing brush. And yeah, I have a thing for whisk brooms. I do have an article on my website all about whisk brooms. I should also mention I have a small jewelry price guide on my website, and also an article all about how to tell the difference between silver plate and sterling. So I'll link those down below. So yeah, I have a thing for whisk brooms, and love this one. Cost a pound. Would price it at about $15. in my antique booth. And then I picked this one up also, and it's signed Universal. It's plastic, but it's red, so I think that's attractive. The broom itself is also plastic. I think someone's going to really like that for about $10 to $12. And I think I mentioned I have an article about whisk brooms, so I'll link to that. While we're on brushes, here's a brush. It's natural, signed Natural Ebony, which is nice. It's a man's hairbrush and looks like it's never been used. It was in a travel case, a leather travel case that was kind of chipped up. And so I threw the case away, but I kept the brush, and then I kept this piece that was also in the case, and it is a, shaving brush. It does say Colmac Jr., so I'm not completely sure that this was the original brush, but just thought that was cool. I would put $9 to $10 on the brush, and then same on this chrome container with the shaving brush. Okay, what else do we have? A couple of books. I'm not supposed to be buying books, but I can't stop. And books are heavy, so I didn't want to buy too many in the UK and then be, shipping them back. So I brought an extra suitcase, a large suitcase that cost $100 to have, put under the plane. So when I say the items cost, 150 items cost $300, they actually cost $400. But that still makes the items that I picked up not that expensive. Like, there's still a huge amount of room for making money, for increasing the prices and making money. Okay, so 3 books. The first is this Little Red New Testament. It was 50p, and it dates to 1948. I feel like this is a bonded leather cover and would just be, it's like a miniature book and would look great in a book stack. Price that at 10. And then here's a little Oxford Dictionary, another miniature sized book. This is a 4th edition that dates to 1978, so not super old, but nice book, stackable. Excuse me. And then the last one, this one was also 50p. This one was £1, and it's Julius Caesar, so Shakespeare always sells really, really well, and the fact that it's got a red cover makes it even more saleable. So $10 on that one, $10 to $12, possibly more on Etsy, but I can't sell everything on Etsy because it takes a while to list things. It's faster to price things quickly and get them up to my antique booth, but often I can make more money on Etsy, so I sort of have to pick and choose what I'm gonna sell on Etsy. Okay, speaking of Etsy, this bottle, I sell a lot of perfume, vintage perfume, on both Etsy and eBay. I feel like I'm gonna put this one on Etsy first. Sometimes I'll list it on Etsy, it doesn't sell, I'll put it on eBay, and vice versa. So on eBay, this size, this is a 2-ounce bottle of Christian Dior Fresh, F-R-A-I-C-H-E. And so it's half full. And on eBay, I would expect it to sell for about $25, half full. Did I say eBay? Yeah, eBay. But on Etsy, I think it will go for more. So I'm gonna give it a try there. And this is still in production, but this is a vintage bottle. And a lot of women prefer sort of the original scent over the years. Sometimes companies change the scent slightly because certain parts of the perfume are no longer available, or they go all chemistry instead of using natural ingredients, that sort of thing. So vintage perfume sells very well. for me. Speaking of, this is a little Avon set. So I avoid Avon mostly like the plague, but look at that box. Just a really sweet box. And it comes with a perfume and a thimble. And the thimble matches the pattern on the box. I'm not sure what the scent is. Let's see what it says here. This is Timeless Ultra Eau de Cologne. That's all it says. So I paid 50 pence for it. And I think, oh, I don't think I mentioned I paid £1 for this one, 50p for this one. And thinking maybe Etsy it'll sell for 15 to 20. So that's, I like to, my target price for Etsy is $30. Like that makes it worth my time for the listing and the answering questions and then the shipping the product. Now I list plenty of items that don't reach the $30 mark. This one would be easy to ship because it's so well packaged. I would just put some bubble wrap in there to take up any empty space. And then bubble wrap the box. So on Etsy, 15 to 20, possibly a little bit more. And then this perfume I actually bought with a dealer friend in mine. She collects all things Yardley. So this is Yardley You're the Fire Skin Incense. I have no idea what that means, but it was 50p. It's 30 milliliters, and so probably $10 on that one, possibly more. I did not get a chance to look this up on eBay or Etsy. So that's it for the perfume. But here's another thimble. This is a little crystal thimble in its original box, and it sits right in there. It's engraved, and it has this 22 karat gold decoration. Just sweet. It was £1. And there are thimble collectors, so I'm going to check that out on Etsy. Hopefully something like 15. If not, I'll put it in my antique booth at $9. A lot of dealers are doing that. Instead of pricing things $10, they're going to $9, and it does seem to help things move a little bit faster. Okay, 2 wallets picked up at separate Carboot sales. They're both leather. Really, they're billfolds, right? Back in the day. This one is, they're both leather. This one's signed Creation Esquire, West Germany. So West Germany would be post-World War II up to, 1989, 88, something like that. This one is really soft and in good shape. I've never had a billfold. They were £1 each. I'm hoping, so this might appeal to somebody in theater or movies, a costumer or a person who buys accessories for a production. And I have sold a number of things that way on Etsy. In any event, leather, billfold, cost £1. I will probably list it at like 35, see how it goes. This one is also leather. It's a little bit, it's never been conditioned. So it's a very, very dry. And I feel like I want to use some of my salve, my homemade salve, which I'll link to the recipe down below, on it, and sort of give it a little bit new life. Otherwise, it's in really great shape, and probably list it for less than the other one because it's, like I said, it's a little dry. So $30 maybe on that one. Okay, this is funny, and I didn't even get a chance to clean it off. That's gonna come off, but the loo, like quintessentially English. If you're in the UK and you ask for the bathroom, they're gonna ask you to repeat it because they're not used to hearing that. So if you just say, do you have a loo, or where's the loo, you're just gonna get the answer right away. So yeah, when in Rome, talk like a Roman. Works in the UK as well. Okay, several more items here. So this is a little piece of Torquay, that's what we call it. Torquay, I think, is one of the villages that produces these. It's red ware, so it's red clay, red ware, motto ware, because it almost always has something written on it. Sometimes it's almost sounds like a foreign language, but this one does not. This one reads, "No road is long with good company." Love that sentiment. And the picture. By the time these pieces, these souvenir pieces, so Torquay is kind of down in the Cornwall area, so down in the very south west of England. By the time they get to America, usually they're very chipped. Lots of chips. So this piece was perfect, and a different shape for me, cost £4, and I want to give it a try on Etsy and see if we can hit the like the $30 range. We'll see. If not, from my antique booth, it would sell in the, because it's perfect, probably around $18 or $20. Now I picked up two little, I'm calling them butter pats. So this one is really more of a dish, really more like a trinket dish. It was 50p, and it's Johnson Brothers, so very common pottery in the Stoke-on-Trent, Staffordshire area, and it's called Watermill is written on there. So that's blue transferware, which I have an article about butter pats and about transferware, and an entire video all about transferware. So I feel like $10 on that one. And then this is signed Bone China Coalport. So that's a Staffordshire pottery. I think that's a Staffordshire pottery. And it looks like it's a reproduction of a piece of artwork. And so I'm hoping $18 to $20 on Etsy for that one. And again, at the very first Carboot sale, we hadn't gotten a lot of English money yet. We had £7. So that's all I could spend at this very first Carboot sale. And of course, all shopping all through England, I saw lots of beautiful, large, heavy things that were extremely affordable and would have given me like a lot of room to make a profit. But I could only bring 50 pounds home with me, slightly over 50 pounds. Because I could fill the empty suitcase, and then we had room in our carry-on. So in any event, this was £1. It's in really good shape, no chips or anything. So it's too small for a beer. Really, almost any sort of liquid could go into a crockery, stoneware little jug like this. Interestingly, we went to a cheese factory, Wensleydale Cheese is up in Yorkshire. So we went to that factory, and there was a little talk and a little kind of a museum. And there they had crocks like this, and they were used to hold rennet. That's R-E-N-N-E-T. It's enzymes that were added to your batch of cheese to help it, whatever, age or taste better. In any event, I thought that was super interesting because there were crocks exactly like this that were used for that rennet. So these are pretty common even here in the States, but and kind of heavy to ship. But from my booth, I'd put about $12 on that one. See how it did. And then this picked up this cutest glass Christmas ornament that I think should sell for about $10 or $12 from my booth at Christmas time. I might list it on Etsy and see if I could get more. There were more of these, but it was delicate. I was concerned about getting it home without breakage. Nothing broke. I did pack pretty well. I brought bubble wrap with me on the way over, and I packed inside of clothes, you know, wherever possible. And then I bought a lot of items that weren't breakable. You know, I just kept that in mind as I was shopping. So, yeah, so that's the Christmas ornament. And then here's a sweet little cameo, not super old, but really cool looking. It was 50p, and from my antique booth, I'd put 10 to 12, but it might go for more on Etsy. And then the last, oh, by the way, I have several articles on my blog, about Christmas decorations. I have a price guide. I have vintagey crafts, Christmas crafts. So I will link to those down below. So last two items are these cute little inkwells. So this one's older. It was 2 pounds, and it's got some seeds. Can you see those little air bubbles are shaped like seeds, so they're called seeds. And beautiful aqua blue color, no chips or cracks of any kind. And I will I have to stop and think, where do I want to sell that? So from my antique booth, it would sell for about $8 probably, but more on Etsy. So we'll have to see. And then this one is a Waterman ink. I've never come across that. So Waterman pens are loved by people who can afford them and who enjoy writing with a fine quality instrument. So I thought this is a great accent to someone who loves Waterman pens. It was 2 pounds, and I feel like on Etsy it would go for $25 to maybe even $35. So I think that's where I'm going to give it a try, is on Etsy. So that's it for today. Thanks for hanging out with me. There's going to be 2 more videos filled with my finds from the UK. One batch is from open air markets, and then the other batch is from open air markets and, oh my gosh, well, from one other place. Hey, come back and you'll find out. All right, have a great day, and as always, happy hunting.